Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mindmap. Today's topic of discussion is biodiversity conservation. First of all, we will discuss about the introduction of the topic. Then we will discuss about the need to protect the biodiversity, threats to biodiversity, methods of biodiversity conservation, and lastly, steps taken for biodiversity conservation. First of all, moving on to the introduction of the topic. Biodiversity refers to the wide array of living organisms inhabiting terrestrial, marine, and aquatic ecosystems, along with their interconnected ecological systems. It encompasses the entirety of life's diversity and variability, including all species and the complex interactions within and between ecosystems. In essence, biodiversity represents the richness and variety of life on Earth, spanning the spectrum of organisms and their habitats. Now let's understand about the need to protect the biodiversity. Biodiversity acts as a critical indicator of an ecosystem's health, which in turn provides a multitude of benefits including provisioning, regulating, cultural, and supporting services. The stability of ecosystems is closely tied to their biodiversity. Regrettably, global biodiversity loss has accelerated at an alarming pace. According to the WWF Living Planet Report 2020, wildlife populations have declined by a significant 68%. It's essential to acknowledge that every organism contributes to the integrate interconnectedness of ecosystems. Conservation initiatives spanning national and international efforts are vital for safeguarding biodiversity. Now moving on to threats to biodiversity. First is human population growth and resource consumption. As the global population expands, there has been a notable rise in the consumption of natural resources. Intensified deforestation. The increasing demands of a growing population have led to heightened levels of deforestation and overexploitation. Threat to tropical forest. Tropical forest, housing nearly half of all species, face severe jeopardy from destruction, risking catastrophic consequences. Impact of natural disasters. Earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, forest fires, and droughts can profoundly affect species, impacting both flora and fauna. Risk from chemical pesticides. Widespread use of chemical pesticides in agriculture, coupled with industrial waste dumped into rivers, endangers numerous local animal species. Harmful pollutants. Pollutants like hydrocarbons pose a significant threat, causing harm and even death to delicate and vulnerable animals. Introduction of exotic species. The introduction of non-native species to new environments where they cannot naturally thrive can disrupt ecosystems and lead to the extinction of native species. Impact of poaching. Merciless poaching of creatures such as elephants, tigers, crocodiles, minks, and birds for their tusks and horns has pushed several species to the brink of endangerment. Now let's discuss about methods of biodiversity conservation. Conservation can broadly be divided into two types: in situ conservation methods and ex situ conservation measures. First is in situ conservation methods. In situ conservation methods are fundamental and primary approaches to biodiversity preservation. This method emphasizes protecting wildlife at their natural habitats. It involves establishing a network of protected areas to ensure the adequate maintenance and preservation of various species and their ecosystems. These protected areas encompass wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, biosphere reserves, tiger reserves, Ramsar sites, and other designated conservation zones. Ex situ conservation measures. This method involves removing threatened animals and plants from their native environment and relocating them to a designated location where they can be protected and given specialized care. This is accomplished by zoological parks, botanical gardens, wildlife safari parks, and seed banks. Many species of animals are nevertheless kept alive in zoological parks despite going extinct in the wild. Now lastly, let's discuss about the steps taken for biodiversity conservation. The Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992 saw the signing of the Convention on Biodiversity with the participation of the Government of India and 155 other countries. A multitude of measures have been proposed by the Global Conservation Strategy to safeguard biodiversity. Enacted in 1972, the Wildlife Protection Act by the Indian government aims to safeguard wildlife, plants, and forests, resulting in the establishment of numerous sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, and national parks. Recognized for their rich biodiversity, tropical regions are designated as mega diversity centers. 12 nations, India, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil, Peru, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Madagascar, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Australia are home to these centers. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature has identified hotspots within these vulnerable regions that require conservation efforts to be preserved. Now is the time for practice questions. First of all, prelims-based question. Biodiversity forms the basis for human existence in the following ways. 1. Soil formation. 2. Prevention of soil erosion. 3. Recycling of waste. 4. Pollination of crops. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. 1, 2 and 3 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1 and 4 only, or 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can send the answer of this question in the comment section. And now mains practice. What are the main threats to biodiversity in India? How can the concept of biodiversity hotspots help in conserving the rich and diverse flora and fauna of the country? So that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching. For more informative content, like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.